As most of you know, Keith lost 80 pounds on a low-carb and keto diet, and we were excited for him to go for his annual blood work test to see that he had not only healed on the outside, but also on the inside. Well, we got those results back, and there were some wonderful, wonderful things, but not everything was so wonderful. A couple things were shocking. In this video, we are going to discuss keto, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. All right, so we're talking now about 2.5 years ago that you lost 80 pounds, got down to 169, and you've pretty much stayed within a few pounds of that since you've maintained for that. But we were excited about not only the rapid weight loss, but also about how this was going to heal you on the inside.
Right.
And so what was the good news when we got the blood work back?
Okay, so we thought we'd hit a home run, right?
Yeah.
It turned out to be maybe a ground rule double. So the good news was that my CRP, C-reactive protein, which is a big measure of systemic inflammatory things going on, it's supposed to be less than 1. Mine was at 4.47. Yeah, so I was a ticking time bomb.
Absolutely.
At that point in time before I went
That's
on
a scary
keto.
one.
Yeah, that was really scary. And when I got that one initially, I just kind of, shrugged it off. My most recent test now, I'm at 0.6. I am below, you want to be below 1, I'm at 0.6. It's really good, really good. Yeah. My triglycerides before I started keto were at 280. Pretty darn high, right? My latest test, they were down to 77. Again, really good.
Yeah.
My HDLs were at 39. Now, the low level of where you should be, that is 40. So I was below even that. My most recent test was a 71, which is really good. It's right in that range where you want it to be. That's all good news.
Yeah, it was great. And then we looked at your total cholesterol, LDLs, and blood pressure. So let's start with cholesterol.
Yeah, so cholesterol. My cholesterol before I started keto was 267, which was, it's kind of high, based on stuff out there, right? My most recent one came back, it was 328. So it's been over 300 since I, did keto. So a little bummed about that.
Yeah.
My LDLs.
And confused.
Yeah, my LDLs were at 172 prior to keto. Again, high. So I was really excited to see that kind of marker of health come down. It went up to 242. So again, it's kind of like stepping back and like, what's going on here?
Right.
The other thing that happened was that my blood pressure, which I never had a problem with, was at 190 over 120. Really high. I mean, shockingly and dangerously high. So my doctor put me on a high blood pressure medication called lisinopril, which is an ACE inhibitor, to get that down. And right from the start, my goal was to find a way to get off of that.
Right.
But I knew that we had to get my blood pressure down.
Yes.
We
yes.
had to.
Yes. That was creating a lot of inflammation in the body.
Right. But these factors, my LDL, my cholesterol, my blood pressure, it's like, well, why did they go up like that? When everything, we've heard all the anecdotal evidence of people on the internet having everything just be rosy after their keto diet.
Right, and many people do have better blood markers across the board.
Right.
Of course, you have proven yourself to be an outlier in many, many ways.
Yeah, every way possible.
Yeah.
But so that kind of spurred me to then just take the next step and do the genetic testing and just see if there's some underlying reasons for what's happening. And lo and behold, there were. So we did my genetic testing through 23andMe. We used Rhonda Patrick's algorithm on her website, and I got my report back that lists all the SNPs. So a SNP is a single nucleotide polymorphism, and you can almost think of it as a switch on a gene.
That's good.
So genes program a lot, everything in your body. Whether this enzyme is going to work or whether it's not going to work. So they control a lot of the different function of your body, and these SNPs are like little switches, and they are affected by a lot of times, what you're eating, and different, dietary factors and vitamins, minerals, whatever. So lucky me, I just had a lot of these really rotten SNPs. I mean, I've got 6 or 7 on the FTO gene, which is the major obesity gene. And I was wearing my lucky shirt earlier. I should have been wearing that now because I'm just super lucky. But these SNPs, these switches, they make it difficult for me to lose fat. They make it easy for me to gain fat. They just have a lot of weird things going on. And the thing about these is that they're almost all negatively or adversely affected by a high intake of saturated fat. So another SNP I have is it's on the ACE gene, and it's a variant that turns off or on the switch for angiotensin conversion enzyme. And that is what makes my body make more of that, and that's what raised my blood pressure. That also affected by a high intake of saturated fat.
Yeah, and the test he's talking about, and we'll point you to it at the end if you want to do this. It sounds very complicated. It's actually made very easy for you to understand. So you can do this.
Oh, the test is very well laid out. There's links on there so you can like dive a little bit deeper and kind of find out what they're talking about. But so I had these things going on. So, and they all had to do with saturated fat intake, right?
Right. So we made some changes.
Right. I'm on a keto diet now. I mean, I'm eating a lot of fat, and I'm eating a lot of red meat and cheese and cream and all that stuff that I've grown to love. And now all of a sudden we've got to find a way that I can like kind of change that profile, the fat profile a little bit. So the main thing that we did was, switched out red meat for more, poultry and fish and those things when we could. And that has definitely, been able to bring down my saturated fat level.
Right. So instead of ground beef, ground turkey, salmon, chicken dishes, things like that.
So the good news with that is that initially I was able to cut my dose of this ACE inhibitor lisinopril in half, and I am currently down to taking one a week. And my doctor understands, this is what I'm trying to do, and he's on board as long as my numbers stay good. And at my last physical, my blood pressure, taking one of these things a week, was at 134 over 85. Yeah. So for almost 60-year-old person, that's really, really good.
Yeah. So it can be a long journey back to good health, and there might be some extra chapters in your book. But would you say that you're healthier now?
I would say I'm definitely
despite being on keto?
Absolutely. I mean, the snoring's gone, my inflammatory things are gone.
Yeah.
And we should talk about that a little bit because, my cholesterol and LDL, they're always going to be in the higher range because genetically that's just who I am. But we do need to kind of emphasize the point that, cholesterol and LDL, they're not evil. They're necessary things in your body. They're made for a reason. Now, a lot of LDL particles become a problem if you've got a lot of inflammatory things going on in your body, because that is when the damage happens in your blood vessels, and that's when those LDL particles are going to be going in there trying to help fix that damage. That's what's going to start causing narrowing of those arteries and those vessels. So my inflammatory factors, CRP down, I've worked to get my homocysteine down. My blood pressure, huge. That's hugely damaging to vessels. Got that down. And also, one of the major damaging things in a blood vessel is high blood sugar. Yep. So going on a keto diet right away takes that out of the picture. So with those things out of the way, I don't have a problem with my LDL numbers. Right,
as long as those other factors are under control and in the good, then you don't have a problem in our opinion. So is keto bad for your heart?
Well, I'm going to say no. I think, like I said at the beginning, I think keto can be a home run for some people. Other people, it might be a single or a double or a triple, but you need to have these tests. You need to get your lipid panels done, your blood work done. You need to do the things to measure inflammation, because all those things are going to factor together. And if you're finding some things that don't seem to line up, then go that next step, get your genetics test.
Right. For you found that there were SNPs that were influenced by saturated fats. Now, that doesn't mean that that's going to be the same polymorphism, the same little switch that's for everybody. You do need to get your own personal genetic test, and you can do this. Keith utilized 23andMe. That's the same that you can utilize. And then Dr. Rhonda Patrick has the algorithm that you can put your raw data into and get this report that you will be able to read. It's not it's not like getting this scientific paper and having, you have to look up all the words. It is
Right.
written very nicely. So you can do that. And I'm also going to add, a couple of weeks ago, we announced that Keith was going to be taking his test to become a certified functional medicine practitioner. And the results were thumbs up means he passed.
It was a long final exam.
It was a
but
long test, and you
it's
were a little
over.
grumpy, but
Right.
it was well worth it. And so what that means is that he will now be able to do consultations with people that maybe have some issues that they're a little bit concerned about with their blood work, for instance. And so we haven't set anything up yet, but I will say that if you go over to drbeckyfitness.com and go to our support link and just let our support team know that you would be interested in being on a list to get notified.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
we can kind of go from there.
right. And I should say too that these results are kind of what spurred me to learn a little bit more and kind of led me into functional medicine. So it's been a long year plus of studying to get through that, but very interesting and very worthwhile.
Yeah. All right. I hope that helps you guys, and thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in a week.